So you're gonna wanna place your arm under their head to support their entire back, lower back, and you are going to hold them like this. Bring baby up to the breast. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be talking about breastfeeding. This is not the little top 10 tips. It's not like a short and sweet kind of get to the point video. This is the video, not even kidding, that I would have wanted when I was pregnant with my firstborn son, Caden. So I was pregnant during COVID and I spent basically the entire 9 months watching thousands of videos on pregnancy and breastfeeding and sleep training, because we sleep train, and baby-led weaning and how to do different things and baby CPR and whatever. So I watched so many videos and it took up so much time. So now I am creating the video that I would have wanted for myself, really. So this is gonna be all of my breastfeeding advice. It's gonna be all of the issues that, well, at least most of the issues that you can probably come across in your breastfeeding journey, and I'm gonna try to answer them. So this is my disclaimer. I am not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a lactation consultant, I'm not any kind of lactation counselor, nothing. I am just a mom who has nursed one baby, one toddler, and one baby. So that's it. Also, another thing, I definitely know that this video is going to be a longer one, so feel free to go through and look at the timestamps. We will be adding timestamps to this video, so if you have a certain issue that you're trying to find information about, definitely click along the video. Hopefully I'll be able to answer that for you, or at least explain some more things that maybe you didn't know or maybe you did know, and then you can get on your way. Get some snacks, get some drinks, and if you're in for the long haul, then let's get started. So my biggest thing that I will say is, to make milk, you need to remove milk, okay? So you can't just eat all the lactation cookies, and you can't just eat all of the oatmeal or drink all the oat milk or body armors or protein, whatever. That will help slightly, but with that being said, you also need to be removing the milk, okay? Even if you're pumping and nothing's coming out, even if your baby's sucking and nothing's coming out and they're not getting anything, you need to have that stimulation. You need to have, like, your body needs to be told, okay, baby's on, baby's latched and trying to get milk, so that your body will catch on to that and then start making milk, okay? Clogged ducts. If you have a clogged duct, then yikes, good luck. They're not fun. Before they turn into anything bad, a clogged duct is just milk getting stuck in the duct, obviously, and it's not able to pass through. So something that you can do is take sunflower lecithin, I don't know. I'll put it right here. This is the one that I get from Amazon. It lasts me forever. Unfortunately, it's in a massive bottle, and I haven't even used quarter of it, but when I need it, it's there, and it's very good and very helpful. So this sunflower will help kind of thin out all of the fat in the milk and kind of help the milk liquefy a little bit more instead of chunkify, okay? So then it will help it go through the ducts a lot faster, a lot smoother. That also helps when you can massage it. Hot water in the shower will help as well. I've seen some people, you can buy boob vibrators. So basically it's for your boob, for breastfeeding moms, and you can put it on the clogged duct, and basically it will try to wiggle the clogged duct out. That has been really helpful. I haven't used any of the vibration techniques. I just typically will massage and try to get the clogged duct out by that. Another thing that I did when I was having clogged ducts was dangle feed. So you can typically see, most of the time you can see where your clogged duct is, if not feel it for sure. So if you can see it, it's going to be a little pink or red, if it's even bad, area, and you can see where that's at, and you can put your baby on the breast dangling, okay, so dangle over the baby, and then the baby's gonna latch, but you want to make sure that their chin is pointing to wherever that red mark is, wherever your clogged duct is, okay? So if your clogged duct is like, if this is your boob, this is your boob, and this is your nipple right here in the middle, and your clogged duct is right here, you need to have eyes, nose, mouth, and then your chin is facing the clogged duct here. So that helps with the jaw movement in the baby, so the jaw will be able to suck directly from like that area, because the jaw is going to be the strongest, and that's where they're going to be removing the milk the most, is from down here where their jaw is. So if this is where your clogged duct is, that's where you want your baby's chin. So I hope that is helpful, and I hope you guys are understanding that. I do have a massive list on my phone, so if I'm looking down, that's why. I just want to make sure you guys get all of the information that I have for you. One thing that I did deeply regret, okay, is I started pumping. I got mastitis on one side, I think it was my right side, and I started pumping just that right side to get the clog out. And like I said before in this video, to make milk, you need to remove milk. So I was removing a lot of milk on this right side to try to get that clog out. And then I had like permanent lopsided boobs the entire rest of my breastfeeding journey with my firstborn son. And it was bad. It was bad, lopsided boobs. So with that being said, like I pumped for a while and I like kind of neglected the left side. So the left side was kind of normal, and then this right side was massive because it's like, oh, the right side needs more milk, and that's just how it started. So I had produced more on that side, and Kaden wouldn't eat, and it was not good. So try not to pump unless you absolutely have to or want to, or if you're just a pumping mom, then obviously pump. So kind of going along the clogged ducts side, if it gets so bad where it turns into an infection inside your duct, that's going to be called mastitis. So that's where it gets like the pink and red spot, where you'll know for sure. It can be hot to the touch and like so painful. I'll actually tell you my story of my mastitis. So I was nursing Kaden. He was probably maybe like anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks or something. I'm pretty decently in tune with my body, and like what if I'm sick, I can feel it coming on like pretty darn easily. So I was sleeping. Kaden was sleeping. He was starting to sleep longer at night. Brandon was sleeping. We were just all sleeping completely normal. I went to bed completely normal. I probably nursed completely normal before then. Maybe this was going to be my first nursing session in the morning at 3. I don't know. But basically 3 a.m. rolls around and I wake up in like cold sweats. I had the chills. I was like, I do not feel good. I felt like I had the flu, but I didn't have to puke or anything. Yeah, but I felt like I had the flu, so I like shake Brandon. I'm like, Brandon, go give me the thermometer. I think I have a fever. And he's like, And I'm like, go get the thermometer. Like, I think I have the fever. Have a fever from the bathroom. And he's like, you don't have a fever. And I'm like, no, I have a fever. I have the chills. I'm not feeling good. I don't know what's going on. Like, my boobs hurt. That's all I knew. And I was like, I think I have mastitis, but I don't know for sure because it would be my first time at that point. And I'm like, Brandon, go get the thermometer. And he's like, you don't have a fever. Just go back to bed. And again, like, this is him being first-time dad, newborn dad. It's a little bit sleepy, a little bit rude, but whatever. So after like 3 or 4 times of like begging him to go get the thermometer, because I'm sitting there like freaking out and like Googling all the things, I'm like, go get the thermometer. He eventually did, comes back, and my fever is like 101, 102. And Brandon literally just told me to go back to sleep. So I like to tell that story because it's kind of funny. Yeah, so he apologized a lot after that instance, and now he believes me a lot more when I say I'm feeling not great. So after I took my temperature, obviously realized I had a fever, I just kind of really went to bed. I fed Kaden, and it was kind of painful. Didn't really know how to do anything, and I woke up in the morning, or I woke up as soon as the doctor's office opened, and I called my OBGYN, and told her the situation, and she's like, okay, I'm prescribing you some medications. So I got that, and along with the other things like dangle feeding, pumping, which was bad, hot showers, and like massage, I was able to get the clog out. So that was really good. And now at this point, I really probably shouldn't get mastitis because I would feel the clog and like know it's coming on. I would know it's coming on beforehand, and at that point where I'm like, okay, this is feeling a little bit like kind of iffy, kind of not normal, I would like immediately take sunflower. Okay, so like that's the whole point, is to keep the milk flowing. Moving on to my next concern, issue, problem would be low supply. So especially if you're in like the newborn days where your milk isn't regulated, girl, you can feed all the time, you can pump all the time. If you want a huge supply, just like keep going. Just keep it going. Just keep it going. If you have a low supply and you're breastfeeding and pumping, I would highly, highly, highly suggest to nurse the full feeds and then pump directly after. Whether that's like putting an automatic pump where it's like plugged into the wall, or using a Haakaa where you kind of just like massage and like hand express the leftover milk that's still in your breast, you're still getting the milk. So that's the biggest thing, like I've been saying, is to make milk, you need to remove milk. And with that being said, nurse, the baby's nursing, getting full, getting all the milk he or she wants, and then you pump more, your body's gonna be like, oh crap, like why are you pumping, like the baby needs more milk, and your body's going to go into overdrive and produce more milk because your body thinks that the baby is needing more than it is. That's how you can boost your supply, especially with low supply. Continue to nurse as much as possible. Try not to pump because the best milk remover is the baby. The pump might seem pretty strong, but the baby's jaw is stronger. If you are leaking through your bra, through whatever, when you are nursing, like if you are nursing on one side and leak through on the other side, I highly suggest bamboo reusable nipple pads. They are on Amazon. They are cheap. They're just little circles or big circles. You can kind of decide which ones you want. I chose the small ones in the beginning, and it was not thick enough for the milk that I was letting down on the opposite side. So I just went straight to the big ones after that for my second pregnancy, especially because I was just, we're not playing games here. I'm using them to soak up the milk. And if they're not soaking up the milk, then what's the point? Okay, so this is another big one that I have actually helped a couple moms with, and it's if pumping hurts. This is a really tough one. I know it's really painful. I've gone through it in my first pregnancy, although I didn't care, okay? Like, I only pumped once a day and it didn't bother me. But if you're a pumping mom, if you're a working mom that pumps, if you're a stay-at-home mom that pumps, and your nipples are hurting, your boobs are hurting, like, and it's really uncomfortable, that is not normal. It's not supposed to happen, okay? Like, get that through your head. It's not supposed to happen. So one of the first things that you can do is measure your nipple if you haven't. So this needs to be like the size of your normal nipple, not your nipple after feeding or after pumping where it like gets enlarged. This needs to be the size of your just fed nipple, okay? So you're gonna measure that in millimeters, and then I believe it's add 2 or 3 millimeters because when you're pumping or nursing, your nipple expands. To connect your nipple size to the flange. So if you have a nipple that, like a normal nipple that is 18 millimeters, you are going to get a flange size that is 21 millimeters. So there are different flange sizes. Do not just use what your insurance gave you or what you bought and call it a day, because typically those ones are either like 24, 26, 28 millimeters, and your entire boob is going to get sucked into them and it's going to hurt, okay? So measure your nipple and get the right freaking size flange, okay? Okay. Not a lot of people know that. It's really unfortunate. I didn't know that. I was not a pumping mom though. I really only pumped once at like 10 o'clock just to kind of build my stash a little bit, and it didn't bother me. that my flange wasn't the right size and I still removed enough milk the way that I wanted to. So I was just like, whatever, I can deal with this once a day. Cluster feeding when you are in the newborn stage or going through any development, any growth spurts, anything of the sorts is normal. It can seem like maybe your baby's not getting enough milk, maybe you're not producing enough milk, maybe whatever you can come up with. The cluster feeding is a sign of the baby telling your body that the baby needs more milk. Maybe the baby needs higher calorie milk and is getting older, maybe whatever. It's basically just telling your body that the baby needs more milk or different milk. So just keep cluster feeding. It's not a sign of low supply. Your baby's not hungry and your baby's able to remove the milk. Continue feeding on demand as much as you can when the baby wants to, and this will help regulate your supply to what the baby needs. So I did not know this at all. Like, I don't even think I did this with Caden. Probiotics for infants are a thing. So those active sleep sessions at night, the ones where they can't pass gas easily, or they can't poop very well, or maybe their stomach's hurting and maybe they're just screaming in pain because they have gas bubbles in their stomach. Infant probiotics. These are the ones we use. They're BioGaia. Love them. You can start them right from birth. They are for infants. They have one of the kinds that has vitamin D in them, so you only have to give them the one supplement. So it's combined. It's amazing. So I've really noticed a huge difference between Caden and Carter and especially Carter when he was a newborn compared to now. The probiotics are literally amazing, and I highly suggest getting your kiddo on a probiotic at least for the newborn stage, but preferably for life, because a gut health is, I'm learning to be the best thing ever. Good gut health. The next thing is a proper latch. This thing can be really difficult, especially if you haven't done any research on how to do it. Unfortunately, breastfeeding does not come natural to a lot of people. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have access to information about breastfeeding, and it can be sort of a taboo topic to some people and not to others. But knowing how to do a proper latch with the baby is crucial and will probably extend your breastfeeding journey if you're determined to do that. So the biggest thing with a good latch is to not just shove your boob or your nipple like right into the baby's mouth. The best thing you're gonna have to do is squish your boob like a sandwich or a burger, okay? Literally like this, okay? And then that way you're gonna go and your baby's gonna take a bite of your boob and go, and it will be like the perfect bite, the perfect latch. The baby's tongue needs to be under your breast, not just like poking at your nipple when it's in your mouth. The bottom lip needs to be pursed out and not tucked in like this. It needs to be pursed out and ready to nurse like that and not in. That is a huge thing. It can happen often. You don't really see it very often because it is the bottom lip. So make sure your baby's lips are out like this, not tucked in, and they are ready to receive the whole entire boob and not just the nipple. So something that you can do, something that I had to do, is kind of tickle Caden's side of his cheek like this, and then he would open wide. Because if you're just giving them the boob like this and they're like about to eat and it's like this, and then you're like, it's not gonna go well. They need a whole... I hope you like my examples. If you hear any clicking noises besides just swallowing, you will know when they swallow. Like, it's really easy to kind of tell when they're swallowing. If you hear any clicking noises, that's not good. There's something wrong with the latch somewhere, so typically you want to take the breast out of their mouth and try again. Another problem that is really common is having a fast letdown and or the baby choking because of the fast letdown. This is ultimately the worst thing ever, honestly. It's something that you really can't control. There are things that you can do to help it, and obviously gravity does not help it, okay? So if you're sitting up and you're holding the baby nursing like this and your boob's pointed down and all of the milk ducts are going down, that's gonna make it even faster, even more forceful. It's just gravity working against you and the baby. So something that I would do is lie down sideways, so a side lying position with the baby, and that will help a lot. Probably not a ton. It won't fix the issue, it won't fix your fast letdown, but it will help a lot. Something else that new moms probably don't know, at least I didn't, is try not to force feed your baby. If they're fussy, change their diaper, do the whole checklist. Do they have hair wrapped around anything? Did they pee? Did they poop? Like whatever. Are they hungry? Are they gassy? Whatever. Just try not to force feed your baby. If they're not having it and they're still screaming as you're trying to shove a boob in their mouth, try not to force feed it. Like wait 5 minutes, see if they want it a little bit later. It just creates a really stressful situation for both the baby and you if you're trying to get them to feed and they don't want to feed. Having a Haakaa on hand is probably going to be one of the best pieces of advice I can give. It can create a small or large milk stash in your freezer. It can help you give bottles like whenever you need it. It can take away some engorgement and give you some relief if you are needing that. The Haakaa is really easy to use to express some milk. If you're in the car and you can't feed your baby right then and there, you can use the Haakaa to be able to relieve yourself a little bit and get a bottle out of it. I thought you were just supposed to bend the rim back and then put it just like on and then put the rim back over your boob. No, because you're supposed to squeeze it, bend the rim back, squeeze the bottle, put it on your boob, put the rim back on your boob, and then unsqueeze, and that will get a really, really solid Haakaa latch. My favorite nursing cover that I've seen is the Maury June nursing cover. It's by Jordan Page on YouTube and Instagram. It's like a 360. It's basically this like massive t-shirt, and I believe it's a one size fits all. It really is huge, and the baby goes under it, and there's really no way for any kind of exposure. So that is my favorite nursing cover that I've seen. It's very like full coverage and very nice. It does get a little bit hot if you're in a really hot state like Texas, like I am. Yikes, any kind of cover is just gonna suck, but at least you'd have full coverage. So I would just honestly not use a cover if you're in a really hot state at that point, but to each their own. So I also want to suggest to look at your state's laws, because you are allowed to nurse in public and people can't tell you to leave if you're in a public area. So if somebody's like, oh, cover up, fight them. Don't actually fight them. That's my disclaimer, don't actually fight them, but you're allowed to be where you are. Something that I find to be really, really cool is that your milk calories increase as your baby gets older. Okay, so when your baby's a newborn, they're probably only going to be eating anywhere from 2 to 3 ounces. As they get a little bit older, it can end up being 3 to 4 ounces, and that's all that they're ever really going to need. Sometimes 4 to 5 if they're chunky dudes or girls like my guy is, but they're not going to need 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ounces of milk. So thankfully your milk increases in calories if you're breastfeeding like straight from the tap as your baby gets older. So this is really awesome because the baby's getting older and the baby's basically telling your body what it needs. Like if you both have run into some kind of like virus or have some kind of like sickness going around, some kind of whatever, your body is automatically making these antibodies for your baby, and your baby's like, hey, I just ran into COVID, I'm gonna nurse on you, and then we're just gonna like share all these things together and it's gonna stop symptoms. So fun fact, that's actually a story that I have. I did not talk to my father-in-law one Sunday at church, but my son was being held by my father-in-law. My father-in-law didn't know he had COVID at the time, gave COVID somehow to my baby, and the baby brought it back home. Baby didn't get any symptoms. I tested positive, Brandon tested positive, and baby was fine the entire time. So I will say that babies typically won't either won't test positive or won't have symptoms at all. Thankfully at this time I was still able to nurse, so the baby was getting all of my antibodies that I had from COVID, and it was just a great thing. So like I was saying, everything changes in your milk basically every time that you latch your baby. So if your baby's needing more calories or whatever, your milk will literally change to fit your baby's needs. I don't know the exact numbers, but I will kind of share this because I do know that there is a difference. Fresh breast milk, so breast milk that you go straight from the tap and it's just like sitting there on the counter, can sit on the counter anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. I will fact check myself on this from Google or a lactation consultant website. It can sit on the counter fresh, like no freezer, no fridge, for 4 to 6 hours. And then it can be in the refrigerator for 24 hours before it needs to be disposed of or given to the baby. And it can be in your freezer for 6 months or deep freezer for up to a year and still have a lot of nutrients. The nutrients level does go down the longer that you have it in the freezer, but it's still good to give your baby. One thing that I'm horrible at is never store your milk bags on the freezer door. So once you like open your freezer, don't put it just right there, because every single time you open your freezer, that's going to be the warmest part of your freezer, and you want your freezer milk bags to be staying completely solid and in like one temperature. And you know, also another fun fact is if your power goes out for some random reason and you have a bunch of milk in the freezer, you can refreeze your milk at any point as long as there's at least one little ice crystal in the milk bag. So if you can see, like, it can be just like one big chunk of ice in there and like the rest is all like liquid around that chunk of ice, you can still refreeze that as long as there's like one little ice crystal in there. So try to save your milk. You do not need to throw it away if it's starting to thaw in the freezer. Just try to get it frozen, back to frozen as fast as possible. Your boobs will regulate around 8 to 12 weeks. Sometimes it can be shorter, sometimes it can be longer. It really just depends on you and your body. So that's really helpful to know. It's not always going to be so hard in the newborn days when you're just constantly leaking, constantly having letdowns, constantly like choking your baby out because there's just so much milk. It does regulate and it does get better, okay? That's gonna be one of my bigger tips. Breastfeeding friendly shirts and dresses. This one is probably one of the bigger ones that I struggle with. I am not fond of breastfeeding dresses. They're just ugly to me. They're typically like some kind of like wrap around where it goes this way and then this side's here and it's just like you undo it. It's just, they're not really flattering. They're not really cute. They look really kind of like frumpy. Unfortunately, it's just a time, especially in my life, where I'm just wearing a lot of t-shirts and jeans and sweaters just so I'm able to lift like right up and feed the baby. So I'm not really wearing a lot of my normal dresses. My wardrobe is kind of just a lot of the same thing. So especially right now for the next year, a little under a year, a little over a year, you will be seeing me probably in the same shirts and sweaters and sweatshirts because that's all I can wear right now. Okay, weaning is my next topic. So my son Caden was about 6 months old when we started baby-led weaning. He was also nursing first every single time. He would nurse first, then explore with baby-led weaning every single time. It got to the point when he was 9 months where I was fighting him to nurse, even like right when he woke up from a full like 10-12 hours of sleep at night. He did not want to nurse. So basically I was having to like force feed him for a long time. He was not interested. He was definitely more interested in food. He was not a comfort nurser at all. Like he was just like, give me the milk I need and like, see ya, bye. He was way more interested in food, and I don't know why. That's just the way he was. But yeah, we made it 13 months nursing, and it was a really great journey. It was definitely a lot harder for me because it wasn't as easy as it's always been nursing him. And yeah, but we made it. We persisted. It was a really good journey. All in all, it was really tough though. So I never had to go through the me, like, I didn't have to wean him off myself. He was more of weaning himself. So I think that made things a lot easier because my body just slowly stopped making as much milk because he really didn't care after like 11, 12, 13 months. Either breastfeeding or formula is 100% necessary until a year old. After a year old, you can put them on any kind of like milk or and like regular food, like regular adult food, and they should be thriving. It is recommended at this point in time, it is recommended to feed until 2 years, I believe. American Academy of Pediatrics came out with that being 2 years, or it was the CDC, one of them. So that's really awesome, and I'm gonna try to strive for that with Carter, but we'll see if he's like his brother. Biting is my next point for breastfeeding. I only got bit one time. Caden had teeth. He had, I think, two bottom teeth, and he bit me and I bled. And it was like the worst thing ever. I like screeched because it hurt so bad, and I was like, what, like literally what just happened? Like, why'd you do that? He's about 6 or 8 months old, and he just was randomly, I don't know if he was distracted and just wanted to chomp down on my nipple, but he did, and it was so bad. Thankfully, that was the only time he ever did it. I don't know if it scared him with me saying like, ow, or what, but he just never did it anymore. So if your kiddo is biting, I would suggest getting a deeper latch, like shoving your boob like way further in their mouth, so that way your nipple's not right by their teeth and like easy to chomp on. If it is, definitely try to unlatch and relatch and just keep trying that again. Another thing that you can do is tell them no or no biting and remove your boob from their mouth, and they can kind of get the hint over time that that's a no-no. I've also heard of people saying like no bite and then removing themselves from the complete like feeding situation and like going back like 5 minutes later. Of course, the baby will eventually understand that. They're not going to starve over their like 3 to 5 minutes that you leave them, but it will eventually kind of tell them like, okay, I can't bite, this isn't funny, this hurts. So do what you want. Do what you want, but those are some things that I've heard. I will say that there are a couple Instagram accounts that I really, really love, whether they're lactation consultants or doctors, pediatricians, if they're like sleep consultants. There are a few that I will mention right now or in the comments. So one of them being Taking Care of Babies. She does have the hamburger hold, sandwich hold video that kind of shows a little bit more about what I was talking about earlier. So credit to her, Kara, for that information. So another one is Moomy's Milk, MOOMYS Milk, and it's a really good breastfeeding and breastfeeding education Instagram site. So this is how to football hold your baby. So you're going to want to place your arm under their head to support their entire back, lower back, and you are going to hold them like this. Bring baby up to the breast, and they are able to nurse. Typically you can lay a pillow right here to kind of give your arm and the baby some support underneath, and then your baby can feed just like this. Another thing that you can do with your baby is holding the baby. So you are going to want to hold the baby right up to your breast, kind of put their head in the crook of your arm, rest it there, and then support their entire back going this way and their butt as well. So one thing that's really important is to have baby's belly button to your belly button, so they need to be facing each other, and then your baby can nurse just like this, and you can hold them like this. I think that is all that I have for you guys today. I really enjoyed making this video, and I'm really, really, really passionate about breastfeeding and helping other people try to figure out breastfeeding. And yeah, so if you really enjoyed this video and you're interested maybe in a part 2 of other things that I can come up with, definitely let me know in the comments down below, and give me a like and subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!